I think the highlight was meeting Reed, the Artemis 2 astronaut. I mean, he's the real deal. He's been on the other side of the moon. He's a brain, big brain, like all these engineers in Formula One.
You've just come out of a Formula One car for the very first time. What's the feeling like?
It's amazing, unbelievable. Something that is not real until you live it, actually.
Have you driven Formula One?
No, but I went with Fernando on the three-seater.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We done. Yeah. I went with him with a few laps together. Then I asked if he could stop because my stomach was all over the place.
Hello. Welcome back to the new Silver Arrows radio show. It's episode 2. I am Steph Wentworth and I have a duo of gentlemen alongside me today. First and foremost, we have Frederick Vesti, Mercedes third driver. Hi, Fred. You okay?
Hello. Yeah, it's good to be here. I've been excited for this one.
And we are joined by Simone Resta, Deputy Technical Director. It's a pleasure to have you here. Gentlemen, we had quite an interesting weekend, should we say, and I'm very excited to get into it. Now, as always, the mission of this podcast is really to take you into the team like never before and really show you the behind the scenes here at Brackley and Brixworth. Now, of course, we can't have a studio in 2 locations. Here we are at the heart of the factory in Brackley, and it's a wonderful studio here, isn't it?
It's amazing. There's definitely been a lot of work put into this, and looks good.
Simone, I hope you like the colour purple. I mean, we had our purple race suits at the weekend, but the studio, it's got the little pops of purple.
It's very nice, very comfortable, really. Yeah, I like it.
This week, we'll be talking all about sims, trims, and wins, straight off the back of an incredible 4 victories in a row. So, Fred, what's Miami actually like as a Grand Prix event? Because it's quite a new one on the calendar and a very exciting one at that.
Yeah, honestly, I was amazed how cool the event was. I was there a few years ago, and just how much it's grown in those 2 years has blown my mind, really. So many fans. The show that's being put on is quite cool. And then the race itself was a great Formula One race, probably the best one so far this year in terms of close racing, and strategy was really cool as well.
How many laps have you done on the simulator? I'm sure you've tried like 100 laps or...
Yeah, more. Closer to 1,000, I think, before Miami and also after. Now I flew straight back here to Brackley to straight back into the sim.
Okay, so you can do Miami with your eyes closed, basically.
It's a weird feeling knowing the track so well, but actually never been there in real life and raced.
Well, it was good, really. Absolutely incredible vibes in Miami. What was it like for you, Simone?
I followed it so close. Every session, every commentary, everything. It was good to follow it. It was very emotional to see a win like that after a bit of a difficult start of the weekend. But the way it ended up, it was fantastic.
So is it hard for you as a team member when you're not there? Do you feel like you want to be there? Is it more tense when you're away from the track?
Honestly, I think is even more tense for me. And at the middle of the race, when Kimi said, I got a problem with the gearbox or something like that, I said, okay. I said to my wife, okay, now I'm going to have just a walk outside for 5 minutes. I'm going to come back and then let's see how it's going. But it's very... I remember many times in my career when I was younger, you follow a race and then you got a failure like in the last few laps. I remember Michael in Suzuka. I remember other conditions where it's really, it's nice. You lie in the sofa, you follow it, but the reality is quite tense as well.
Absolutely. Now we can see here on the screen, we've got a lovely image of the team celebrating after another victory. How incredible. But let's rewind a little bit before the race. Fred, you were getting really stuck into all of the Miami activities, weren't you?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. On Thursday, I was with the Miami Dolphins. They set up this practice ground, basically. That was a little cart. And here we are with some of the players. And it was really good fun. I topped the charts. So, I was pretty pleased with that. And, I love doing different things, especially sports. I am a racing driver, and I think I should keep that job because I wasn't amazing with American football, but it was really fun to try different things and to see their part of the world. It was really cool. I think Miami is, they're doing things different there. There's lots of activities for the drivers, for the engineers. but also for the fans, and it's quite special.
And the podium is quite a walk away. We saw actually Amy Walker, trackside operations engineer, on the podium, and she's the 7th woman representing Mercedes on the podium. There's been 14 women in total in Formula One, so 50% has actually come from Mercedes. So we've got incredible stats there, and it's amazing to see her up there celebrating the win alongside the team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so good to see, and I know Amy, and yeah, she absolutely deserves to be on that podium, like so many others in this team.
And in Miami, there was a very famous footballer, should we say, Messi. We've seen interactions with the team. Did you get a glimpse of him?
I cannot believe I didn't get to meet him.
No.
Very gutted. Obviously, not seeing Messi. The first book I ever read, I think, was about Messi. So to see him in the paddock was amazing. To miss him was disappointing for sure. But I think the highlight was meeting Reed, the Artemis 2 astronaut. I mean, you can. There's a lot of famous people arriving in Miami, but he's the real deal. He's been on the other side of the moon. He's a big brain, like all these engineers in Formula One. I think he really fit into to the paddock nicely, and it was so cool to meet him. He was the nicest guy. Amazing.
You did a lot of time with him? Did you were you able to speak with him and ask a few things?
I spent almost a full day with him on Saturday.
Really?
We were hanging out a lot, and he was. He loves racing, it turns out, and he's already been trackside in his own car after the mission. Yep. So that was his way to sort of relax after coming back from the moon. He has a nice like track car that he likes to run, and he was telling me all about that. So we were talking very personal things. We were talking, astronaut things. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, cool. A friend for life?
I hope so. So I was supposed to give him a hot lap, but due to the schedule changed on Sunday, we actually missed it. So I've promised him a hot lap in the future. So we'll have to make that happen.
Yeah, you'll have to fulfill that. And let's actually talk about that timetable change, because it meant you had a much earlier start on Sunday morning.
Yeah, so obviously we were anticipating some rain for Sunday.
Just some rain?
Yeah, well, it turned out to be quite insane in the morning, but actually it wasn't as bad as I had thought. But yeah, fair play to F1 for changing the schedule. I think that's really good that they look at it and they actually do anything they can to race, which is really good. It was a challenge for the teams. Obviously, having done dry running all the time and then preparing a wet race is challenging. In the end, we didn't need it, and it was a dry race.
Yeah, I actually hear in the morning that you went on a run and it was dry where you were, and then all of a sudden I think it was wet in South Beach.
Yeah, so half the team is staying in South Beach, the other half in Fort Lauderdale, and me and Adam were supposed to go for a run. I'm calling him, where are you? I'm in the reception. And he's like, no, I'm in the reception. Turns out we're in two different hotels. South Beach, it's raining, it's torrential rain, and where I'm in Fort Lauderdale, it was perfectly fine. So I went for a run. Luckily, I was a bit more up north and didn't get drenched.
There you go. Two completely extremes in Miami. Simone, how does the team deal with the challenges that come with running in wet weather conditions?
Well, it's a relatively new problem, and we haven't yet raced in this condition this year. We had just a very short experience when we had our shakedown in Silverstone with the new car, but very, very short time. So a lot to learn, a lot to still to understand and to try. That wasn't the time, but I think it's going to come soon.
Absolutely. And it's, I think, time for us to discuss the regulations tweaks that there were ahead of Miami. This was kind of with the idea of creating more flat-out qualifying, and I guess that kind of reappeared with the regulations and the tweaks. What are your thoughts, Simone, from a technical perspective?
I think from a technical point of view, it was, first of all, a very nice teamwork between all the teams, the drivers and the FIA, to arrive with F1, to arrive at a good overall solution that in such a short time, with a lot of consensus, we were able to achieve it. Of course, there were a lot of ideas. Some were taken on board, others not. But I think it was a very good overall result. And I think, to be honest, I think the sport is great, and it's been just a tweak, like an improvement. It wasn't like a game changer. Let's see what was done for Miami. But the quality of the show, the quality of the quali and the race, it was great. So I think the sport is really landing in a nice place, and it's just watch and enjoy it, to be honest. There's not much to change at the moment, I think.
Absolutely. And that's the thing with these new regulations, is it's always just little tweaks here and there to make it work. Fred, what is it like from a driver's perspective?
Well, first of all, I think it's good that they're listening to the drivers and to the teams and making these joint decisions to make the qualifying particularly better. I think from a driver's perspective, all we want is to drive the car on or over the limit slightly. We just love that feeling. And I think they're moving towards that. So that's really good. And as Simone said, I think Miami was a great showcase for what Formula One is, both in quali and in the race. It was really fun to watch.
And do you think those improvements are track specific, that we saw them specifically at Miami and we won't see them again in the future? Or do we think that this is great changes that will come to fruition in Canada and all the races beyond?
I'm so much stuck into the driving of just Miami, so I know how to do that, but it's probably Simone who knows looking further ahead.
I think they will apply everywhere. In some tracks they'll be more evident than in others, but they are generic enough, let's say, to apply in all the tracks. And of course, if you consider a track like Suzuka, for example, where there was a lot of super clipping, that would be more evident. Here it would have been different, but I think they'll apply everywhere.
And let's talk specifically in the team. Do we think that other teams are similar in pure race pace compared to us?
You know, if you consider the first race of the year in Melbourne, I think we started with a large gap, maybe a bit more than we expected, to be honest. And then race after race, I think he started to erode a little bit. And in this race, we've seen our main competitors bringing big steps, big updates, aero updates. And we are still ahead. But it was very tight, especially with McLaren in this condition.
Yeah, I think for me, what I really liked in Miami was the fact that it wasn't just a Mercedes that drove away from the field. It was a super cool Formula One race, and I'm a Formula One fan, and watching that was really cool. Especially Kimi, being told, okay, box now, coming out, having to do a great outlap, and Norris just coming out right in front of him, and then he does the pass for the lead. That's F1, and that's amazing to watch.
So you just bringing up the boxing. Do we think that you won on pure pace, or was it very much to do with the strategy call?
Well, from what I saw from the garage together with Toto, we have access to all the radio. So sometimes it can be difficult to understand because there's like 20, 30 people talking on the radio all over each other. But we are very closely following what's happening with strategy. And it was pretty clear that they had a good idea of what they wanted to do. And something I noticed was Kimi was sort of a bit stronger than Norris later in the stint. Looked like Norris had a bit more speed initially, and then he was fading away. And I think just before Kimi boxed, we sort of had the upper hand on pace. And that sort of same picture showed again on the hards towards the end, with Norris right on Kimi, and then sort of Kimi having a bit more space towards the end.
I think probably strategy was the biggest factor in the overtake, because the cars were quite close, within a few tenths up and down, depending on the condition. While the call on the strategy, I think, was the real key to make the difference in overtake. It's not just about strategy, but it's also about pit stops, because the mechanics, the crew, they make a fantastic job having very quick stops with both our drivers, and that was a big part as well in this overtake.
Well, we had a very successful race weekend in Miami, but of course, Kimi wasn't the only one to take the podium at the weekend. At round 3 of the European Le Mans Series, Doriane Pin and her team had an epic comeback drive to secure P3 and take the championship lead. I caught up with her straight after her first ever F1 test a couple of weeks ago, and here we are. Welcome. I am joined by Doriane Pin, current F1 Academy champion and Mercedes development driver. And you've just come out of a Formula One car for the very first time. Tell us about that experience. You can't keep the smile off your face. What was it like?
It was amazing. It's the first time I
That's
see
you.
a picture, actually.
I know. So we can see on the screen now
Yeah.
images of the very first time you sat in an F1 car.
Yeah.
What's the feeling like?
It's amazing, unbelievable. Something that is not real until you live it, actually. A car that is it's just so fast, very different than what I'm used to in general. I was able to drive a lot of cars before in my past, but Formula One is another level, and it was great today. I did almost 200 kilometers, so So quite
a hard
lot
day of work.
Yeah, a hard day of work, but a good day to have a first feeling of the car, and it's so powerful. The brakings, the downforce is huge, but also the engine, everything that is around the team. There's a huge team behind to make the F1 car running. So it's unbelievable to be working with everybody and improving throughout the day. So it's a very special day.
And it's crazy. You see your helmet, your number on the car. It's so personalized to you. This day's been about you. I just imagine it's a rush of emotion.
Yes, it was. It was because one week and a half ago we did the seat at the factory, and there were already the number in there, but I didn't expect it, and obviously it's Lewis' car from 2021. We can see on the chassis is written 14 Grand Prix, 4 pole position and 4 wins, and Lewis was my inspiration when I was a kid, when I was watching Formula One at home. So driving his car now is very special, and yes, everything was organized in the garage with my racing number, with my name. So it was completely insane and feel unreal, to be honest.
An unbelievable experience. And you have your family and friends with you as well to experience this first time with you. What does it mean to have them all behind you, your support crew just cheering you on?
Yeah, I was very lucky to be able to bring them today. So my dad was there. It's a very special story together because my dad was my mechanic when I was starting go-karting. My entire years in karting, he was my mechanic. And so we went through a lot, and see now he was able to fully enjoy the day, watching me around the track, going fast, and jumping in Formula One car for the first time. And then my partner was there as well, very supporting me for now almost 5 years. So I'm very grateful to have him by my side. And my best friend, we start together basically at 9 years old, so we were racing together. And he was there also today, so very grateful to share this time all together. And for the little story, he didn't have his passport one week and a half ago.
So he's got a passport just for this moment.
Exactly. It's unbelievable. Yeah, he got this passport in 1 week.
That's
unbelievable.
An important moment.
Exactly. So luckily he was there today. Yeah, no, it's good.
It's amazing to have the most special people in your life there to support you when they've carried you through such a journey. Let's go back to the beginning of your journey, because when you were younger, it wasn't easy for you to get started in the world of motorsport, was it?
No, it wasn't easy because we are not. We don't have a motorsport family. We're not coming from motorsport. I mean, my family was passionate about motorsport, but they never did something internationally in the sport. Mm-hmm. My dad was organized some karting events for partners and big events, but he was not racing and not in high level. So something that everyone wanted, but something that I wanted from the beginning. I had to wait until I was tall enough.
Yes, I hear you were far too small to even get in a go-kart.
I was. I had a bit of delay on my growth, so I had to start at 9. But I did a lot of sport before, because sport in general in my life was very important to me since the beginning. So
what sports are your favorite outside of racing?
Tennis.
Are you good?
Not anymore.
Okay.
I was playing quite a bit before, but now I have more time.
That's all right. We'll stick to the racing.
Exactly.
You seem to be pretty good at that.
I'm better at racing, for sure.
Of course. So it's amazing. What was the next step that you took kind of once you got into karts and you started progressing a little bit further?
Yeah, I mean, I remember my first day in the racetrack. Very, very, very big day, because for me, I was waiting that moment for a very long time, and I fall in love with the adrenaline, the speed, and everything that is around. And even if I was not that good at the beginning, I was fully committed to motorsport, and I was sure I wanted to do that. And then I was keeping improving, doing some national races, and then I mean, regional races than national races in France still. So we did. We won the French Championship in 2019, and that was the moment where we switched to cars, where we had the opportunity to do the jump and to have being able to do a selection, international selection, and then join the Iron Dames program in 2021. So that was the beginning of my professional racing career in endurance races. And then a lot of good memories in endurance races, in 4A Challenge with the title in 24 Hours of Spa in gold category we won in 2022. Then jumping to the World Endurance Championship in 2023
Big step.
With the P2, the LMP2 with Prema, with two good drivers, with Daniel Kvyat that was in Formula One and Mirko Bortoletti. And then jumping finally in and doing the step to single-seater racing with Mercedes and in Formula 4 UAE with 1 win, 1 pole, and then 2 years in F1 Academy with the title in last year.
Of course. And you're incredibly adaptable as a racing driver, which I'm sure makes you so great as a development driver for Mercedes, because you can kind of take all of those aspects of all of the racing that you know and bring it to the team.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to adapt quickly to things in general, because me, since the beginning of my career, I had not so much opportunities due to budget, and so I had to maximize every time I was going on track. And every time I was going on track, I was giving my 100%, and I was making sure that I was making that day very special, So it's important to, when you jump to a new car, you know everything about it, and you are sure that you have no question before jumping in a car. And when you're in the car, you're just focusing on the moment. And it's exactly what I did every time I was jumping in a new car, and especially today in Formula One. Everything is big and everything is new, and I want to make sure I'm doing the right job. And there's a lot of new things and a lot of very specific things in Formula One that you have to get it right. It's a lot of work behind, but it's something that I love to do and love to spend the time for. And I think I adapt quite well to the car today.
Yeah,
building up my speed and continuing working closely with the engineers and the team to make sure I understand things, understand the car, understand what I'm doing, and I can bring the improvement on track afterwards. So that's what we did today.
So were you quite good at school then? Because you're clearly very good at soaking up all the information.
No,
top student?
Not top. No, I was decent, but it was not my thing. So end of high school was a bit tough because I was also juggling
balancing racing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And actually, my best friend that was here today helped me to pass my final exam in high school because I didn't get the full studying before going to the exam. Yeah. So I was a bit on the edge with things, but yes, overall I was good at school.
There you go. He's been with you through the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs.
Yeah.
But today, obviously, such a big day. How important has Mercedes been in your journey? Because joining F1 Academy in that first year, you were so close to that title, so close.
Yes.
But didn't quite make it. How was that first year in comparison to your second year?
I think they've always been there from the beginning, very supportive from Toto to the entire team in general. They helped me to develop myself as a driver, but also as a person. I was still quite young. So I learned a lot of things thanks to them. And that's why when I did the switch to single-seater, yes, it was my first year. Yes, we were close to the title, but there were a lot of things to improve. And I'm glad that we make this improvement in the second year by being much more stronger and much more competitive in general to take this title. So they are part of for sure of my success and on my growth. And I'm very glad and very grateful to work with them because they are very experienced, obviously in Formula One, but also in junior categories. So So it's a chance to build a career with them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they've kind of been with you as you've been developing. And one thing about you this year is your role within the team is you're very much helping the younger drivers to come through. I know you're acting as a mentor for F1 Academy this season. Tell me about that.
Yes, it's a very exciting role because I have for sure a lot of experience in F1 Academy, in the championship itself, but also in the car knowledge. So I can bring some, and I can give some advice to Peyton Westcott that is with Mercedes this season. It's good because she's only 16 and she's just at the early stage of her career, and it's good to be with Mercedes, and I'm happy to help her because she has a lot of margin of improvement, and it's nice to see when there's improvement and when there's changes during the weekend where she constantly improve and understand things and stuff. So I'm glad to be with her for the full season. And next to that, the development side with the new car on the team. With the team.
And so what does that kind of look like? Because we always hear development driver. What does that kind of constitute in your day-to-day life? Because you have your own racing career as well. You're racing in the European Le Mans series. So you've got a lot on your plate. How do you juggle it all?
Yeah, it's a big organization, to be honest. But no, obviously my racing program is the number one with the European Le Mans series and the 24 Hours Le Mans this year.
Big one?
Yes, the big one. And then next to that, obviously, I'm coming to Brackley to work with the team, to go to simulator to test some items on setups as well, to keep improving and develop the new car. And
we'll certainly be seeing you at some races as
yes,
the season progresses.
I will be at some races also during the F1 season. Yes.
One thing I have to ask is, of course, looking back at the whole of your career as we've just done, what would you yourself say to your 9-year-old self all the way back then if she could see you driving a Formula One car? It's crazy.
I think she won't believe it, really. Because
do you believe it?
Yeah. Now, yes. but yeah, I mean, when I was 9 until few years ago was a dream Formula One, and now is a goal. You know, it's a bit different. And now I prove to myself that I can be fast in a Formula One car. So for sure I can. I don't know what to say to my 9-year-old Dorian, but I think.
Well, she was clearly doing something very right.
Yes, exactly. I think it's important to follow what is inside your heart and your guts, and motorsport was always evidence for me. Something that was on me since the beginning, and I never give up. Never. Obviously, you have doubts, but you always build yourself to grow as much as possible and to find solution for your career. And it's what I did for many years now, and yeah, it's just insane to be able to drive an F1 car for the first time today, with Mercedes, with everyone involved, with the full story behind is something that is big for myself, but also for the sport, I think, in general.
And it's good to highlight that you're the first woman to drive a Formula One car for Mercedes. That's an incredible achievement. And is that something that's important to you, to be making history, or are you just here to race? Are you just doing your job?
First, I'm here to win races.
Yes.
But no, secondly, no, I think it's important to show the path also to the young girls that want to do the same. I mean, it's a male-dominant sport. You have to make your place in this sport, and you have to be fully committed. Otherwise, you will not make it. But yeah, I think it's important to show that, especially in those days, racing a Formula One car, something that is not very, very common, and we can prove in that special day that we have our place, and with the work we are doing behind the scene and working with the team, with the people around you, you can really achieve something in your career because you believe it. And because you believe it, you make people believe that it's possible. So I think motorsports and the sport in general has grown in the last few years, because when I started racing, I was the only one on the grid. And now we see more and more women involved and more diversity in general on the driver side, but also in the mechanics and manager and engineers and stuff. So it's growing in a good direction.
Absolutely. And so the last one from me is, you've ticked off a massive bucket list item today. You've driven a Formula One car for the first time. What's next for you? What is the next goal, the next aspiration that you're trying to hit?
Driving again Formula One. FP1.
Okay.
No, I mean, I hope so. I hope I will have the opportunity. I think we did a pretty good job today. I hope it will open some doors and some opportunities for the future. But what is next is Le Castellet in 3 weeks for ELMS. And with F1, I hope the chapter is only the beginning, and I will have more chance to drive a Formula One car and continue my progressing and step by step and hopefully be in F1 at one point.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, you are a very busy woman. We've got to let you get back to all of your duties, should we say? But it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you very soon.
Thank you. Thanks to you.
Well, it's amazing to hear about a first time in a Formula One car. And as you can see, Dorian was just so emotional. Fred, do you remember your very first time in a Formula One car? What was that experience like for you?
Well, yeah, it's first of all the best day of my life.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dorian would say exactly the same thing. It's something I worked towards for 13 years of my life, every single day. So to finally get that opportunity is just incredible, and to do it with 8-time world champion team is even better. It's a very high pressure moment, because you sort of build up to it, you think a lot about it, and yeah, it just takes a lot of preparation. So you put a lot of pressure on yourself as a driver, but once you get out there and feel it and know you can do it, it just is so much fun, and it's all you've imagined and even better.
And what is it like climbing up the kind of junior formula ladder and then making that massive step up to F1? It's a huge change, right?
It is. It's really hard work. I mean, you start in go-karts, move into cars, and from there it's just every year is the most important year of your life until you make it to Formula One, and that's awesome, and it's extremely challenging as well. But to see Doriane in a Formula One car, I mean, I couldn't be happier for her. It's great to see, and she deserves it so much. And I really hope it helps her, giving perspective. And, to now she's driven the fastest car in the world. Any other car now will feel quite easy to drive. So it's a good thing for her career for sure.
Ask me a question about Formula One.
Have you driven Formula One?
No, but I went with Fernando on the three-seater.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
No.
We done. Yeah. I went with him in
Which track?
in Fiorano.
Okay.
It's quite, Fiorano probably is quite low speed, a bit like Monaco-ish.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's quite interesting, and we had a few laps together. Then I asked a difficult stop because my stomach was all over the place, and then that was my first experience. And then another time I drove the car on the simulator as well. Yeah,
You were fast.
I wouldn't, let's say, compare with you. So let's not speak about lap times, but it was very interesting as well. So is for an engineer being exposed onto what really we do, and on track, it was quite an experience. Very interesting.
What was the biggest shock factor there? Was it the G-forces, the braking, the cornering?
All together, like the speed of everything, the braking, like the acceleration that your body is taking into cornering, like especially high speed. There's not much high speed in Fiorano, but there's like quick chicane.
Yeah.
That is quite intense. Also coming out from the bridge on the right is quite cutting the curb is quite interesting as well. So a nice experience.
Well,
I'll never forget that.
Never forget. No, well, Fred, maybe Simone's coming for your job then as a racing driver.
Sounds like it, yeah.
No, don't be worried.
Okay.
You are safe. You are safe with me.
Well, let's just bring it back to Dorian, actually, because how well did she do at the test? Obviously, as Deputy Technical Director, you'll have a lot of information on how well she was doing. How well did she do from your perspective?
I think it was a very good. It was a very good test, and of course, there's quite a bit of a step between the cars she has been racing and Formula One. So it's going to take some time to find the limit and understand how the performance of the car is. But definitely was a nice experience. We have seen that she has enjoyed it quite a lot, and that was nice.
How can you not enjoy it, really? And she's the first woman to drive a Formula One car for Mercedes. How important is her role within the team and her influence on other women in motorsport?
She's really opening the way onto award for women's, and I think is very nice. It's been F1 has been investing quite a lot in this, and this racing series, all the battles on track is very nice, and I'm really proud about what we are building and with F1 and creating this racing series is really a good initiative in my opinion.
Well, we are almost at the checkered flag for this episode of the New Silver Arrows radio show. So have you guys enjoyed your first time here in our studio being pecked by me?
It's been amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to listen back. Not to listen to my own voice, but obviously to see how this comes out. It's great to have this insight into a Formula One weekend.
It's been a proper fun. It's been so quick. We already finished it. Yeah, it's been nice.
Time flies when you're having fun. Well, what will you be up to? We've got a couple of weeks now, less than, until Canada. What are you guys going to be getting up to in the little time off that you have?
Well, I have this stupid thing of always filling out my calendar. So when I'm planning ahead 3 months, I have a weekend here and a weekend there. So I keep adding things. So I'm doing a half Ironman this weekend in Spain. Then I'm coming back. My mom is coming to visit me in a week's time. I haven't seen her since Christmas, so that's quite exciting. And then I'll be in the sim preparing Canada, which is sort of the intense work leading up to that. And then I have a test in America as well in sports car. So it's intense, but I love what I do, and it's always fun getting around the world.
Yeah, you've got a jam-packed schedule. What do you have for breakfast every day to keep on that?
Well, it's chaotic, but it's great. I mean, I couldn't be happier for where I am in my life right now. I'm chasing Formula One, but I also get to do so many cool things. So yeah, it's really good.
Amazing. Simone, is your schedule as jam-packed?
I think it's going to be a bit more boring, like work, relax a bit in the weekend in Italy, and again, work. And it's going to be quite an intense time going to Canada. We are working pretty hard as a team, also with Fred's support as well, to be in the best place for Canada. And we'd love to race there tomorrow. We are really looking forward to it.
Of course, we can't wait for Canada, and I'm sure it'll be upon us before we know it. But that is all we have time for in this episode. So don't forget, all episodes of the new Silver Arrows radio show will be available to listen to on your usual podcast platforms. So hit those subscribe buttons, and you can also catch us on YouTube. In the meantime, stay up to date with all of the action from around the F1 paddock on the team's socials. My thanks to Dorian, to Simone and Fred. It's been a pleasure having you both on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our pleasure.
And thank you to all of you for listening to the new Silver Arrows radio show. We hope you'll join us again soon. Bye-bye now.